Welcome to another episode of Just Ask Cher Live. Guys, can we be honest? Today was one of those days. Today was one of those days where I was like, I can't get it together. I just can't get it together. I almost, I did the best I could with the face, but at the same time, I was just like, I'm all ready. And then, starting way later than I normally do. But this is one of those days for mostly all content creators where they are going to not feel like doing it. They have their stuff together to the most part, but at the same time, they just don't feel like doing it. And this is when you have to do it the most. So this is me today. Welcome to another episode. Today I am talking all about brand collaboration. And if this is the first time we're meeting, trust me, I'm sunshine usually. But let me tell you, this is going to be a jam-packed episode with goodness because brand collaboration is one of the most incredible ways to build your personal brand. Whether you are working for a company, whether you are working on your own, whether you are a speaker, trainer, author, thought leader, whatever, collaborating to create content is powerful. And in this episode, I'm not really talking about being a guest on somebody else's content. I'm literally talking about the collaboration, the co-creation of content with somebody else where it makes sense. So in this episode, I'm going to break down the things that you need to think about if you are thinking about collaborations, because I am no stranger to collaborations. In fact, my first live stream broadcast ever was a collaboration. And there are many reasons why you want to consider collaborations in the first place. Mainly because it keeps you accountable. So see, like when you do a show by yourself, you can be like, I don't feel like it today, and then maybe not go and then go. But that's what we're going to be talking about today. So definitely got the tips for you. And let's just see. I just want to make sure that I'm broadcasting because that's really quite important if you ask me. And yes, this is life right here. We have life. So I see a bunch of you on already, so that is awesome. And let me say hello to my friends. Dan, yes, I received that, Dan, the Queen of Queens. And Shante, hello to you. You're going to hear from me shortly. Whitney, hello. Marcello, Nigel, wow, it's been a long time. Tomas, you are also going to hear from me as well. Whitney, Rob, Marcello, yes. Liam, hello, my friends. Aisha, oh my gosh, I'm good. I'm live. Yes. So I want to know, you guys, how many of you guys have done, first of all, team live or team replay? Let me know because this is important. I always like to know when you're watching. And of course, while you're at it, typing in the comments, team live or team replay. Also, give a little emoji love. The emoji love lets the algorithm know that you love or at least like or support or are applauding what you're listening to, watching, because then it pushes out to more people. That makes me happy and everybody's happy because they get to see great content, right? Right. So make sure you show me a little emoji love. Thank you guys so much. And yes, look at this. Look at the support coming. You guys are the best. There you go. You guys are the best. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. Rob House, Team Lives, Marcella, and Patricia and Z's. Hello. Oh, guys, I'm so glad you're here. Especially, let me tell you, like I said, this one was hard for me to get it together. But this is what it takes when you're a content creator. You just got to get it together and get it done. So I'm going to be talking about brand collaborations, doing the collab thing. So again, not talking about joining somebody else's podcast as a guest. I'm talking co-creation, collaboration. And like I was alluding to before, the first time I ever did a live stream show back in 2013, 2014 was with my cousin. We both have a broadcasting background and we were like, this is TV on our own terms. And we used, back in the days, it was called it was called Google Hangouts on Air. And it was literally the first really accessible live streaming broadcasting software. And we had a show called The Lori and Cher Show, Hacking into Awesome, where we interviewed people around the world. It was incredible. That's how I met Paul C. Brunson. That's the first time that I worked with him, or I met him through my show. So having a show can be very powerful because it introduces you to the right people if you can provide them the right opportunity where they actually want to show up. But again, I'm not talking about being a guest. I'm talking about co-creation here. So this is something that really can be a powerful tool for you, not only for accountability, but also to level up and do many things with your brand. So I'm curious, have you ever collaborated to build your brand or expand your reach? Yes, no, and if you're thinking about it for this year, you can write not yet. So I want to know in the comments, yes, no, or not yet. Let me know, because hopefully by the time we're done this show, I will maybe change your mind, because there are opportunities even within the corporate setting. So this is not just about the entrepreneurs watching, or the consultants watching, or consultants, freelance consultants, that sort of thing. This is E for everyone, right? You just have to think about, what is your collab opportunity? What can you build this content collaboration around, right? So we're going to be talking about that. And I'm just going to jump into the comments before we dive into the lesson, of course. So I see, yes, Bobby Umar is another example of someone who I have collaborated with since January. And we've done other things where I've been a guest on his platform. So he has an incredible platform called DYPB, Develop Your Personal Brand. I've been honored and featured as a guest, as a panelist, as a trainer, as a keynote speaker, all of that, because Bobby's just extended his network out to me. But that's still his thing, and I come up as a guest. So again, I'm not talking about guest speaking here. However, on Clubhouse, we collaborate. And I am an active part of his club, and I'm considered one of the people who are active moderators who collaborate with Bobby to create content. And his club is producing content every single day, the Thought Leadership Branding Club. So check it out on Clubhouse if you are a regular over there. So he is somebody. Aisha says, I also publish a collaborative book every year. See, that's another way of getting together with authors. If you want to step into that author world and become a published author, that's a phenomenal way to do it. And I love what Brian's saying. He's love collaborating when there is alignment. And it's like you peeked at my notes, Brian. Did you peek at my notes? Because that is so important. So I'm going to jump into that. And Marcello is very open to collaborating. And then Aisha said, I co-host a podcast with 4 other ladies. See, that's what I'm talking about. Finding people where it makes sense. Okay. And yes, I love Paul too, Patricia. He's just awesome. And we've been able to work together a few times over the past few years, but it started with me inviting him as a guest on my show. And we had a kick-ass, I was going to say YouTube Live, Google Hangouts on Air, HOAs as they called it back in the days. We had an awesome show, and he was so much fun. All right, guys, let's get right into the collab considerations. So the first thing you gotta know is know what you want. What do you want to accomplish out of this collaboration? So you gotta know personally what you expect to do. Sometimes, especially if you are early on in the content creation phase, and you want literally the accountability to show up and to do the work. And that might be it, and that's okay. But let's just say you're graduating into beyond accountability, and you got to creep before you crawl. But you got to think about it. Well, what do I want to accomplish? How can I collaborate with somebody to get those goals? So for example, real estate agent, mortgage agent, talking together about the industry. Obviously, there are so many synergies in that. You can look at the different vendors that you work with, and possibly come up with an industry specific show if you are in the consulting space. If you are in the HR space, for example, and you're in talent acquisition, you could be 2 people who work together, and now together you co-host a podcast, a live series, it doesn't have to be a show, by the way. It can be a video series, it can be a blog. You can even collaborate and write a blog post together, or a series, but it's about creating this content. We'll get into what that can look like in just a second. You can do a leadership series with a few other leaders at your company and come up with a leadership series and just know what it is you're talking about. You could feature people, because one of the reasons what it comes back down to is knowing what you want. So if you want visibility in your company, right? Maybe you work for a large organization and you want to get visibility. You can do something that's, there are a lot of intranet opportunities as well as internet opportunities. So you can keep it industry specific, or if you wanted to keep it internal, especially let's say, for example, you guys are using Facebook for workplaces, all that kind of stuff. You could think about what you could create over there. You just got to know at the end of the day what you want to get out of it. Is it visibility? Is it to create opportunities? Is it to get in front of the right people? Is it about creating relationships with referral partners? Is it about highlighting talent? You just got to know at the end of the day, what do you want to get out of it? Is it you want people to know a certain skill? And this is another fantastic way of showcasing a skill that people don't recognize you for yet, is co-creating with somebody who's more recognized in that space, and you get to step up and level up your game. So there's so many different ideas, but at the end of the day, you got to know what you want, because your strategy has to be grounded in your goals. All right. So the next thing is brand and value alignment. So one, you got to make sure that the person that you are collaborating with is a good look for your brand. And I know it sounds judgy, and I don't mean to be judgy, but you really have to evaluate if that person is a good look. Do they come, and there's so many criteria that you may find important that others don't. One of these things is you gotta listen to your spidey sense. Let's say that person has like they curse like a sailor, and you are like the absolute opposite, and it makes you uncomfortable. That might not be the best person for you, right? You may be a lot more laid back, and that person may be a lot more formal and not comfortable with pushing the envelope a little bit, which sometimes that can create a good foil, right? Like a good back and forth. But you got to make sure that at the end of the day that you can connect with them, as well as with values. Like, do you value the same things, or do your values align? So that you can create together in a way that, and that could be even personal values. Do you think this person's going to show up for you, right? Do you think that they're actually going to do the work? You've got to consider that. So that's really important. The next, when you're in this assessment phase of considering the right person, you want to make sure you have the right audience mix. So are you, based off of your collaboration, are you accessing a new audience that you want to get in front of? Are you going to attract the right audience with the content that you are creating? And sometimes it's not all about work, right? So I want to pull back and say, you can have a podcast or a live show for fun. Yes, I know that, my primary audience is definitely on LinkedIn. And when you guys put your hats on, when you watch me, it's about what you can do for work. But I want to go a little bit beyond that. And let's just say that, you're just pulling the right audience, and it goes back to your goals as well. So if you can align it with your goals and your audience, you're in the right sector. Does that person provide access to an audience that you don't have access to, and vice versa? So there's so many things that you can evaluate. So I'm going to just jump into the comments now just to see what you guys are saying. Oh, I love when people actually remember Google Hangouts on there. Thank you so much, Ziz, for making me not feel, old tech, right? Devinder says, collabed with other incredible women to co-host on Clubhouse. That's what I'm talking about. So I collaborate with Bobby Umar and his team, but I also collaborate with Andy Foote and David Breyer. Every week we have our own club as well. So yes. And Jamila's like, yes, this is what I do. All right. And let's see. Bonnie says, yes, there's been going on lots of podcasts and finding synergies thereafter. And that's a great way to put your toe in the water. Test it. And actually, that's one of my tips. I think it's the next tip. I'll make sure. Enrique says I'm the best. I appreciate that, Enrique. Thank you so much. And Jamila says, I'm always looking for Clubhouse co-host, right? And once you find that mix, that is awesome. And then Renee said, I just did a Clubhouse room with the topic of confidence and style and invited 2 other confidence professionals, one who speaks on confidence and the other works with high-level professionals and works on confidence with them. It was a great room. But you see, there's a good audience mix and you aligned on both the brand and the values of what you wanted to bring to the table. So that was a really smart and strategic way to go, Renee. So well done. And hey, George, how are you? And Liam, yes. So for example, Liam and I have already been talking about collaborating because Liam is like, when it comes to data and understanding your LinkedIn data on a micro level, and we're gonna actually create some content together. And I'm excited about that because I'm gonna be a test subject. How can we level up leveraging data? So this should be fun. So look out for that, guys. But yes, Liam, we are collaborating. I'll speak with you this weekend about that. So yes, finding the right audience mix is really important, and do a collab test. So this is what I was getting to when I was reading your comments. Clubhouse is a great place to do a collab test. The reason why is it's because, okay, first, the content disappears as soon as you say it. So that's always great. You get to get a vibe of that person to see if you have the right banter and the right chemistry, because I think that's so important when you collaborate. Like, do you align the way that person communicates, the way they talk, the way, all those things. Like, I've gone in and been co-moderator in a room with people that I've respected just from seeing them in social, but not really interacting with them until I got to Clubhouse. And I was like, I don't want to, it wasn't drama or anything like that. I was just like, I don't really like how this person communicates. It just like rubs me the wrong way. But that was good because I got to test it out. And while I still respect their knowledge, I just know that they're not the right person for me to collaborate with. So Clubhouse is a phenomenal testing ground. And I mean, when I look at Clubhouse, you know, this is another conversation for another live, but it's just like the only problem I have with Clubhouse, and that's why it's great for testing, is like the content disappears. So there's no legacy to it. And, you know, so anyways, another conversation for another time. But it's great to test it and then think about where you're going to build this legacy content that can, you know, be the gift that keeps on giving. And I think that's really, really important. So definitely look out for that. Do a collab test. See if the chemistry is there. And then next, even though the chemistry may be there, don't just like start the never-ending podcast, right? Because you just don't know. And as well, most people are busy people. So I've always recommended, I was like, I swear guys, I know this is gonna be the most disgusting thing I've said all day. I was like, I could feel like a burp coming. And I was just like, don't burp. And then it went back down. So anyways, I know TMI, but I feel like you guys know me. I feel like everybody right now in these comments, whether you're watching live or the replay, you guys know me. I can burp around my family. I don't want to, but I could. Anyways, let's get serious now. So for example, that whole exchange might be too real for somebody and be like, no, I don't think I could work with Cher. Totally fine, right? But anyways, think short term first. And again, what I mean by that is maybe think in a series. Maybe you want to do a 4-part series together just to see how you mesh, see how it goes. And let me move the timer out of the way because I forgot. This one's good. I got lots of points here. So you want to see how it meshes, see how it goes, and see what your work styles are like. Because again, you could respect the person, you could like what they have to say, you could even feel like you have chemistry, but the way they work and the way you work might be two different things that don't get along too well. So giving yourself a short-term series, right, as opposed to let's start a podcast. No, start an audio series, 6-part series, just 5-part, 2-part, 10-part, don't care. But what it does, it gives you an end date. And then you can evaluate from there to see if it was a good fit. Okay? And then what do I got next for you guys? Okay. You need to know who is responsible for what. So one of the things that I do with one of my shared rooms, so with David and with Andy, is we share the responsibilities as far as setting up the room or starting the room, like who's starting the room, those kind of things. So you need to know who's responsible for creating content. I mean, in that particular space, what I do have is the benefit of the awesome David Breyer, who creates great graphics and promotions in his sleep. And he's so amazing. Like it's just amazing. So he, while not technically responsible for it, he does it for us. So we have that benefit. And I think that's really important. So being very clear and delineating who does what, who's setting up the broadcast, where is it coming from if you're doing a broadcast, who's recording it, what system are you using, all those things you need to be clear up front so that you have duties and responsibilities as assigned. So you know who's doing what, and there's no, oh, I thought you were doing it. Like I'm telling you, in the different collaborations that I've had, these are the things that have made or braked. I was trying to be sensitive, tense sensitive. Yeah, so this could either make or break you, right? So be cognizant of that. Know where it's going to live. That's the other thing. So for example, things like LinkedIn Lives. There is software that will allow, if both creators have live, it's a software called Switchboard, where you can multi-stream it to multiple LinkedIn accounts if they authorize it, kind of like it just asks for an authorization. So that's one way. But if you don't have that software, then you have to define, okay, well, is it going to be on your LinkedIn? Is it going to be on my LinkedIn? Or are we going to create a page for this? Will we get access? All that kind of stuff. Is it going to live on your YouTube channel, my Twitter feed, my Instagram? Like you need to know, especially when it's a short term, especially when you're testing it in the beginning, and long term. You just need to establish that, and that discussion needs to be had. And then finally, what are the promotion expectations? So this is really serious because some people, depending on how they're social, they promote things in different ways. They may so because I do so much guesting, which is different. It is collaboration, but I'm talking active working together to create something, not guesting on someone's show in this, which I also think is a phenomenal strategy, by the way. But this is something where when you think of, how you promote things, like, are you just going to promote it in stories? That's more my style because I don't share a lot of content weekly. I don't share a lot of things because if I'm speaking at 3 or 4 things in a week, then it's just like my feed becomes very quickly filled with, hey, I'm speaking here, check me out here, do this, do that. And it's just like that, for me, I don't like doing it. So I need to know, well, what is the expected promotional? Some things when you're doing more guesting stuff, they'll expect you to send it out to their newsletter. They'll expect you to post it. So all I'm saying is you need to have the conversation around promotional expectations so that everybody's on the same page. And feel free to share how you're willing to do it. In fact, especially if you're particular about what you're willing to share, how you're going to share it, bring it up first. And you can say, here are the ways that I will be promoting this, right? So at least you beat them to the punch. You always have the upper hand in the negotiation when you do it that way. So these are my suggestions. At the end of the day, you need to absolutely know what you want when it comes to brand collaborations. What do you want out of this whole endeavor? You need to make sure when you're picking the right person that you're doing your research and your brand and your values align with each other. Also, that you're drawing in the right audience for your goals. Right? You want to do a collab test to make sure that you work together, that you gel together, that there's a little bit of a synergy. And sometimes it will take a few tests before you can really nail it down and secure, yeah, this person's a great person to collaborate with. think short term first. Like I said before, don't necessarily dive right into the never-ending podcast with no end date. Try a series, try an audio series. That's okay. It's still podcast format, just in a shorter bite-sized agreement, or an agreement. So you've got that. You also want to know who is responsible for what. So who's responsible for what aspects of the creation, the editing, the promotional stuff, the setting up of whatever needs to be set up, and know where it's going to live. So is it going to be on, your individual socials, or is there going to be a joint one, or how are you going to do it? Are you both going to share it individually? And of course, finally, your promotion expectations. How do you expect that this person is going to put it out in their network, and know what it is they're willing to do, and quite frankly, what they're not willing to do? So I hope that these guidelines gave you some really cool things to start focusing on. And let me see. So Whitney says, I love these suggestions. Thank you so much, Whitney. I appreciate that. And Maya, I love what you're saying. Brand and values must align for sure. Exactly. And Girly says, love all these value bombs. That's what I'm talking about. The value bombs. And I can speak today, I promise. And Parshall says, great advice. A shorter series allows you to see how it is to work together. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, we even like burps, says Jason. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that. And he called me the burp queen. How do I receive that? That's okay. I'm okay. I can keep it real with y'all. Okay. And Tony, you're not on Clubhouse. Guess what, Tony? Guess what? You can get an invite to Clubhouse now. I'm just saying, they're available now. Android, they're letting you in. So that's something that's really cool. And Liam is definitely the data guy. Absolutely, Rachel. I agree. So I'm loving the fact that I want to see some collaboration. So if as a result, this kind of accelerated your collaboration mode, let me know. So send me a message. Let me know, because this stuff is really powerful, and it can absolutely game change what you're doing as far as your content creation. It can really elevate your game. So coming up next, we have 2 minutes. So it's late, but all right, I'll go for a little bit. I'm not going to do a full Tap That App series, but I will tell you about this one. Actually, the Tap That App is important. But sorry, I'm looking at 3 million screens. But let me pause this, because you guys know this stresses me out, right? Okay, so let's take a look at this scroll stopper. So this is today's scroll stopper. It actually features me, which is cool, but that's not why I'm showing it off. And I'm not even showing it off because it's because it's my Clubhouse session tomorrow, by the way, with David Breyer and Andy Foote. It was just, let's be honest and say that David, who is responsible for this, just take a look here. So this David Breyer, he's who I do that Clubhouse room with, and he's Google's number one rebranding expert. Of course, slayer of the mundane, liberator of awesome, advisor to CEOs, and author of Amazon's best-selling Brand Intervention, is responsible for $3 billion in sales, and he is a keynote speaker. So as you can see on the right, he created this awesome 55-second video, and it is all in animation. And he used an app that refaces our face on there. And just take a look at this. This was just really cool. So I'm gonna turn on the audio so you can hear it. And here we go. Hold on. So let's take a look at this. I'll just play a little bit.
A long time ago, and I was undercover as a social media spy. Then I saw him, Andy Foote, ordering a drink with 5 ingredients. I confronted him, saying, "This isn't a Clubhouse." He denied it. I slapped him. "Tell me more." We bonded, and he became my wingman. Just like that. Yup. What about Clubhouse?
All All right. So y'all have to go watch that on your own. But let me tell you, it is definitely incredibly cool as far as how well David did that. And it was just, I absolutely loved it. So I want you guys to go. If you're not following David Breyer, you need to check him out. I'm trying to keep it tight tonight, so I'm not going to go through my points, but he did a fantastic job with that. Something I've never seen before, and I was just really impressed. So well done, David. Loved it. And now let me bring you over to my Tap That app. And before I do that, just want to remind you, if you're not following Just Ask Cher, the hashtag, what are you doing? That's awful. It's crazy talk, because when you follow the hashtag, you get to see the content. I'm just saying, or you're more likely to do it. So this is my Tap That app. I know. It's not an app. Let's look at me for a second. I know it's not an app. But one of the things that I love is with a green screen, because that's what this is right now. And let me show you. I just think this one is super cool. So this one is a portable collapsible green screen by Elgato Green Screen. It's on Amazon. The price is anywhere between $160 US to 200 or so Canadian. So just depending on where you are. But what I love about it is it's huge. It's big enough, but it goes away. And it's clean. It's neat. I absolutely love it. So those are the dimensions right there. Check it out. Like I said, under 200 bucks. You want green screen in your life, but you don't need it in your life all the time. And it'll stand up for you. It looks sturdy and strong. This is something that is in my order cart as we speak. Something I definitely want. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but I think it's really cool, especially like for me. I built this studio, but sometimes I need to change it up. You guys see what I have? Wait. So this is going on the wall next week. So this is going to be posted next week. I think it's so cool. So it says, pause if you must. Those of you who follow me on Instagram, you've already seen it. Pause if you must, just don't stop. But don't stop. And it's a cassette tape. And I just think it looks so cool. Totally goes with everything that's going on over here. But sometimes if I'm guesting somewhere else, or if I'm collaborating and creating another, let's say, podcast series, this just might not fit the brand. So having that green screen might be the exact thing. I hope it will be the exact thing that we need. But remember, with green screens, with great screens come great responsibilities, because that means lighting responsibilities. Because if you are going to use green screen well, so that you don't get that kind of like, that we've all seen it, bad green screen effect, you definitely need to make sure you're well lit. So that's my tip for you guys today. I am so excited about that. And I'm just going to jump in right now to see if there are any questions or anything that you guys want to say before we wrap up. And of course, as you guys know, sharing is caring. Yes, David does make the best content, by the way. That's why I share him. And yes, it was so cool. And his graphics are always dope. And that's another reason why I wanted to highlight him today, is because of the fact that, I know what I get by working with him. You know what I mean? Like, he brings that to the table, and you need to know what the value that you're bringing to the table. So I know we looked at values in a different way, but also value in what do you deliver? What do you bring to the table? How are you going to make this work? Right? So those are just things that you need to think about. And like I said, sharing is caring. So if you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you share it with a friend, maybe somebody you want to collaborate with. That might be the greatest way to start the conversation. Hey, I was watching this last night, or this morning, or this afternoon, whenever you saw it, and I think that we should collaborate. Let's take a look at this, see what you think, and keep it moving. So that's the show. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will definitely, most definitely, see you on the next episode. Okay? Bye, guys. I'll talk to you soon.